Hello, and welcome to another exciting episode of the Jim Stroud podcast. Today we have with us a very special guest. Special guest, tell us, who are you and what do you do?
Hi, Jim. Thanks for having me. I'm Laura Maffucci. I am the head of human resources for Globalization Partners, and we are the leader in the EOR space. We invented the industry, and we also have just recently launched a fantastic new AI product. So just all over the place in the world of HR technology and all things global employment.
You can't get away from AI in any conversation.
You really can't. I try. You just can't.
But especially in HR, how do you see AI impacting the HR landscape today?
I mean, I think that it impacts us in a couple different ways. I mean, of course, there's the ability to, take some of those manual tasks, get those automated. All sorts of other creative ways we've been using it. We try to use it almost as a thought partner at times, even though that scares me a little bit. But if you do an
Mm.
investigation and you have a bunch of notes and you need to summarize them using AI to kind of help you pick up themes, we do that. And also, with GP and our focus on agentic AI for global employment, using it for ensuring that we're compliant, generating contracts, all sorts of things like that. So it can do all those things. But I think one of the biggest impacts we're feeling is the change management aspect and how it's impacting employees so heavily, I think both inside and outside of work. So really helping employees navigate that, when the organization comes out and says everyone has to use AI in their jobs. Okay, how do I do that? What does that mean? So really helping with that enablement and helping them so that they know the right ways to use it at work, but they can apply what they learned, especially around critical thinking and discernment and security in their own lives.
Do you think AI will ever remove bias from hiring altogether? Do you even think that's possible?
I don't know. I don't think it's possible. I mean, I don't see AI as being any less biased, quite honestly, than ATS systems already are. I think
Mm.
they're inherently biased. They have those knockout questions. You see people saying put things in white on the bottom of your resume so that they're not
Yeah.
visible, but that the ATS system picks it up to make sure you don't get knocked out. So I think there's a lot of bias in those already. I mean, who knows what the future holds for AI? It's scary how quickly it's growing and getting smarter and doing more and more things. But I just don't see how you can completely remove the bias from anything.
Yeah, I've always think that human beings created it. We have biases, so no matter what we say or do, our own biases are going to seep in some way. And
Well, yeah,
I
that's
think,
very true. I saw something that was talking about how they say it's artificial intelligence, but it's learning from us. So it's really
mm,
our intelligence that we're putting into a machine. So your point about, we're biased intrinsically, and we're building it, it's going to be there.
yeah, yeah. I'm in conversations. People have mentioned how they just feel a little stressed, even when you bring up the word AI, especially at the
Yes.
job, because they're thinking, okay, this robot, for lack of a better word, is going to
Mhm.
take my job in some way. And I definitely hear that around laymen, the workers, especially around entry level. But I'm starting to hear it more around leadership as well. What's your perspective on how AI is impacting the mental health of workers in the workspace?
I mean, I think you put AI on top of everything else that's going on and how crazy everything in the world is and all of the
Ha,
uncertainty. And it
yeah.
certainly isn't helping. I mean, you're hearing about people, AI psychosis, people who are going into AI and using it as a therapist and it's starting and they're believing it's everything it says to them and they go into psychosis from it. So I certainly don't think it helps at all with people's mental health. I think that, that's where I went with a little bit with the change management. I think we have to be really mindful of how all of this change is impacting people and making sure that you're doing everything as you can as an organization to, help them to be okay and help them so that they can be successful at work. And if they're not feeling comfortable at home and they're not doing okay in their day-to-day lives, they're not going to be doing okay at work either. So I just think it's quite a time to be alive.
It is. I have never seen such a tumultuous time as this. I know throughout the ages, everybody says, back in my day, but wow,
Yeah, this is a
this
special.
is
This is special.
this is definitely special. Uh, and in regards to that, one of the very real concerns I think people have, well, with this recession that we're in, some saying we're not in a recession, but it certainly feels like it.
Yeah.
I think the ones who say that, I think the people who say we're not in a recession have some sort of political, uh, some
Oh,
political
100%. Hmm. There's
bias
a
to that.
narrative there.
I think what makes this recession different from others, and I've suffered through some before, is that in times past, the feeling was, okay, things are tough now. This will blow over like it has before, and then we'll get back to our jobs as usual. But with this one, with AI, it feels like, okay, when this is over, will those jobs be there? Um, which makes me wonder how companies should be adapting. I hear one argument is you should be upskilling your people so that they are, you know, ready for the next big thing. Um, but on the other hand, you don't know what the next big thing is because it's changing so much. What are your feelings around that, you think?
I mean, I think that we have continuously gone through changes like this throughout history, and certain jobs do go away, but new jobs, new types of jobs come in to replace them. So I think there's always bumps in the road to get there. There's always hardship to get there, unfortunately. So I think we might see that. I also think, though, that pendulums swing and everyone's so jumped on this AI bandwagon and everyone's making all of these changes, and it's not perfect,
Yeah,
and it isn't the answer to everything. And I think we're going to start to see a little course correction take place. And I think the two most important things people can do, I think, is to stay curious, and well, three: stay curious, apply critical thinking whenever they can, and try to be as learning agile as possible. I think if you are embracing AI in your job, you can find ways to elevate yourself. You can find ways to add more value. And I think if you're hiding from AI and you're trying to pretend it's not there, those are the people that might, wind up finding themselves in a little bit of trouble, because you can't get away from it. You have to become at least savvy enough to use it a little bit, if you're going to get by. But I think, we will see the types of entry level jobs are going to change. I
yeah,
think there will be entry. I don't know what those are yet. I don't think anyone knows. I think we have to wait and see, unfortunately. And I don't think it's going to be pretty as we get there. But, humans tend to be pretty resilient. And throughout the ages, when new technology has come along, things shifted and changed and we figured it out.
yeah. When you look through the headlines, you see a lot of doom and gloom, I guess, because that sells papers and whatnot.
Mm.
But do you know of any positive case studies or examples of companies using AI and doing it right, in your opinion?
Um, Yeah, I think I saw a couple of case studies around Microsoft, and it seemed like Microsoft was doing it right. They really leaned in heavily to their HR team and had their HR team really help them build the automation and build some of their AI.
Mm,
And I think I'm in a good position where I'm a unique position, that is, where we are the customer, because it is HR technology. So being involved in the behind the scenes and helping them to build our AI product and getting involved from that capacity has been really, really exciting, for us to have that opportunity. And I think HR teams are the perfect teams to help with everything around AI, because we know the people. We're more tech savvy than people think we are. And I think we can really help there. But I also think, not to toot our own horn, but I really like what we have done. Our chief technology officer, chief information officer, she started an AI council that I'm a part of. And we
mm,
immediately, we have a policy, but we review that policy once a month because things change so frequently. And we're so focused on employee enablement. We've brought in members of our own AI team to do education, for employees, teaching people how to prompt. We have a Slack channel dedicated to it. We encourage people to go out and find tools, bring them to us for approval, to make sure that we're checking them for security and that sort of thing before they're brought on. But we want people, wherever we can, we let them bring on things to experiment with. We have awards, the AI Awesomeness Awards, that we give out. People can nominate themselves or others for using AI in certain ways and categories that they fall into, that we do on a regular basis. So I think that has really helped the organization that, quite frankly, was very, very nervous. Our org was very, very nervous about AI, especially because we were building an HR AI product, and that makes you think, oh my goodness, what is that going to do? But it really helps the HR, the people, the humans, move quicker and be able to focus on more value added work. So I would go with those.
I like what you said there, because as you were detailing your AI policies and so forth, the theme I was hearing from that in my mind was transparency.
Mm-hmm.
Letting it all hang out, so to speak, because I know that there are people who use AI tools all the time on the down low to be efficient, because
Oh yeah.
they don't want to risk it being taken away when they're able to save so much time
Mm-hmm.
using these tools.
Yeah, there
How,
is a lot of fear around it.
yeah.
A couple of our research reports have showed it, and I think it's important. If you want employees to embrace and use AI, you can't make them feel shame for using AI. You need to create a safe space for them to do it, an environment where you say, I used AI to do that, as opposed to trying to hide it because you think they're going to think, oh, well, we don't need you because you used AI to do that. You need to create that psychological safety for people.
Yeah, and I think you hit right. That is the underlying fear right there. If they know a machine can do it, what do they need me here for? Uh,
Well,
for
somebody's
sure.
got to tell the machine to do it. Somebody's got to take what that machine gives and do something with it. And I think that's where I know certainly it's automating many things, end to
Mm,
end processes all the way through. And there's certain instances where you really don't need the human intervention. But I think particularly in the HR space, people are messy,
yeah,
and it, there's got to be somebody to interpret what, this might be the law, this might be the policy, but a human has to apply it. No two situations, even if they fall under the same law or the same policy, the situations are always completely different. No two are alike, and you have to apply reason and philosophical approaches and other circumstantial things to the decisions you're making around those policies and laws.
yeah, and I think also in that, maybe you're inferring it in there, accountability. Somebody has
Mm-hmm.
to be.
Yeah,
I mean, who do you yell at when something goes wrong?
right.
Somebody has got to be the person to get yelled at, right?
Exactly. Yeah, that's true.
For
That's
sure,
very
for
true.
sure. For the benefit of the HR person who's listening right now, and they're thinking, this is so important. I really need to implement this stuff. What's the very first step they should take to go down this rabbit hole? Should they just, you know,
Wow. I think, it depends on what your organization does. I've talked to a lot of people recently in various events that I've been at, and
mm,
I notice that the people who aren't in tech companies are having a harder time figuring out what to do, because you don't have those tech people to lean into.
yeah,
And what I encourage everyone to do is find people in the organization who are into it. I mean, there's going to be at least one person in your organization who is out, in their personal time, or they're just fascinated by it. They're using it on their own, and let them help you think about how can you use it in your organization, how can you bring other employees into it, find those champions of the technology, to really help you with that. And just don't be afraid. I think it's the fear, the fear, it just gets in people's way. I have someone on my team who just got herself Google certified or certified in the Google, the AI course. She just
okay,
did that, and she's been doing things, some fantastic work with it. So I think there's lots of things out there. I know there's a couple of apps out there that you can get, and like every day they'll give you a certain, they have you use a certain AI tool to learn how to use it. So you're
hmm,
learning a little bit every day. So there's so much out there now, to learn it. And I think I say this all the time. I think the most important things that everyone has to be more mindful of is the critical thinking, the discernment. we don't know what's real anymore. I mean, some of the newer technologies that just came out, I'm like, okay,
Yeah,
we're done. Like
yeah,
this is
yeah,
terrifying. We don't need this. And what are we going to do with this? So I think the more people are learning about AI at work and to how to be safe at work and how to be discerning about things, they can bring that into their own personal lives and it can help them as
for
well.
sure. I remember this was maybe 4 years ago. There was a picture of the Pope in a Balenciaga puffy jacket,
I remember that.
styling and profiling. And people, and I saw it, I said, okay, I knew right away that was fake.
That's fake.
But a lot of people thought it was real. And that's to your point, the way things have progressed now, it used to be you can look at somebody's fingers on one of these deep fake things and the finger, 6 fingers or 8 toes or something. You say, okay, that's fake. But not anymore, man.
No, that I think it's Sora is
Yeah.
that
Hmm.
it's scary. It's scary. It is almost impossible to tell, if not impossible.
Very much so. Let me bounce this idea off of you. Actually, it's not an original idea. IBM does this. um, they uh, want to incentivize their workers to take on all the different AI lessons as much as possible. So to incentivize them, they would tie in the courses they take to their annual bonus or annual performance thing. So when they grade you, when they evaluate the work you've done over the past year, they say, okay, you've done this, this, and this. That's great, but I also see you've taken AI 101 or whatever. And because you have taken this step to future-proof your career, we're going to give you a couple of dollars on top of that for that too. What do you think of that strategy? Do you think that would work outside of IBM?
I do. I think money talks, and I think
Sure.
people are motivated by different by money pretty much no matter what, even if only a little bit. I do think it would work. Um, I think they clearly are valuing just their employees being educated about it, if that's the case, as opposed to tying it to an actual, business result, or because you knew this AI, your performance increased by a certain amount. So I do think that incentives like that could work. We've added it to, we have a check-in type of performance process. And it has like 4 or 5 questions, and we've added one question: how are you using AI in your job? But that's actually more, it's to encourage it, but it's also because we want to understand how people are using it to help with that enablement. So I think building it, if it's important to your organization for really good reasons, because I think a lot of them, companies are like AI and they really don't know what that means. They really don't know
Right.
what they're going to use it for. It's a bunch of old guys who don't know how to convert a PDF saying, yeah, everyone has to use AI, like go for it. They don't know. And that's really, that's not productive for anyone. So if that's something that's super important to your organization, then certainly tying it into a bonus is a valuable tool.
From your perspective, I know you have a lot of global clients by the nature of your work.
Mm-hmm.
Do you see certain regions reacting to AI differently than other regions, or is it pretty much the same across
Yeah.
the board?
I think in EMEA in particular, the privacy laws,
Yeah.
there's a lot going on around that. I think there's some new legislation or something that they're looking at over in EMEA around GDPR and privacy issues. So there's definitely, they're smart, that like I like that they're more cautious and that they're more concerned. I think that in the US we tend to be like, oh sure, click on that, and we don't really think about our personal data the way that we should. But I do think that we're seeing in Europe that they're definitely approaching it a little more cautiously.
Yeah. Over here, or what I notice, companies are using AI to sort of streamline compliance, which could be uh, a tricky tightrope to walk on. Any suggestions or
Oh,
ideas around that?
yes, lots. That's what we do. And
Okay.
and that's what GIA is built for. First purpose-driven agentic AI specifically around compliance. And it's, of course, there's information pulled from websites and government websites and things like that we use, but the majority of the information, the compliance information, comes from our own expertise, having over a decade experience. All of our HR, in-country HR specialists, our in-country legal experts have taken part in building GIA. We actually verify and cite. We cite all of the information and we verify most of it. And that means that our in-house HR experts and legal have reviewed it. There was something that was put out a few months ago that showed that a lot of times when you ask, a large language model, a question like a ChatGPT or a Gemini, a question, that answer could be it's most frequently coming from Reddit or Wikipedia.
Yeah.
And if you've got a global employment compliance question, your first stop is not going to be Reddit. At least I hope it's not. So I think making sure that the tools that you are using, because it can do great things around compliance, that stuff takes a lot of time. Sure. And being able to just have an AI that can really help speed you along in those processes with your policies, with your contracts, with all of those things, is super valuable. But you want to make sure that it's coming from a trusted source.
I like what I heard in there, what they call human in the loop, not totally trusting on just a machine. Because to your point, sometimes these machines, well, a lot of times they're not infallible. They're not 100% perfect. And one mistake can really ruin your day. So I like that in your process, you have a
ruin
human
your
being.
Company.
Yeah.
And it's not correct. Like I've had times where I've asked it something and the answer that it's given me is so bad that I actually find myself getting into a little fight with it. And I'm like, okay, come on, that's wrong. You can do better. And it's like, oh, I'm sorry. Okay, yes, that's wrong. It's like, oh, okay. Like, what do you mean? So yeah, it's crazy.
If you could give one piece of advice that you want HR leaders to walk away from if they're using AI, especially in a global perspective, what would that advice be?
Do not be afraid to use AI.
Ooh,
Do
okay.
not be afraid to use it. I think that this is a let go or be dragged moment where if you're afraid of it and you're trying to pretend it's not happening, you're going to get swallowed up by it, and you will wind up saying, wow, I got replaced by AI, or, oh, I don't have a job because of AI. If you embrace it and you use it in smart ways and you use it to make yourself better and your team better, you're going to be just fine.
Very cool. Wow, that was quite the conversation. Thank you so much for your time. If somebody wanted to contact you for more information on this type of thing, how can they find you online?
I'm on LinkedIn, and so is GP. GP is a huge presence on LinkedIn, and we also have gp.com. Lots of great information there as well.
Very cool. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Well, my time is up. I thank you for yours. I'll see you again real soon right here with a brand new episode of the Jim Stroud Podcast. If you have any questions, comments, or concerns, feel free to reach out to me. I can be reached by email at jimstroud@jimstroud.com. And one last favor, if I may ask, please rate this podcast. 5 stars is preferred, but please comment with your honest opinion. I really appreciate that. All right? Okay, until next time, bye-bye.